welcome to the CWU press conference to announce the result of the biggest strike tactics and ballot in 2022 so far. 115,000 postal workers working across rural Mail Group. My name is Chris Rudd, Head of Communications at the CWU. Delighted to be running the press conference on behalf of the union this afternoon. Also want to welcome our esteemed colleagues and friends from the media, both online and in the room, so you're all very welcome. But most importantly of all, I want to welcome reps and members from around the country who did such a fantastic job to deliver the ballot result, which you'll hear shortly. The format for today is as follows. We're going to have the Vice Chair of the Postal Executive, Nick Kavanagh, is going to announce the ballot result, and hopefully we're going to all enjoy what we hear. It's going to be a massive, yes, not a massive turnout. It's going to be a fantastic moment for the trade union and all of our members. And then you're going to be addressed by our General Secretary, Dave Ward, followed by Dave, who's our Deputy General Secretary, Terry Bollinger, who will make an address to the press. And then both Terry and Dave will take questions via myself from the press. At that point, we will ask for closing statements from both Dave and Terry, and we will adjourn the press conference to conduct interviews with the media, which we've organised and will be organising in the next couple of hours. So this is a massive moment for the union. I want those in the hall. You can see now there's 11,500 people on our Facebook page alone. There's a huge sense of anticipation. So if those in the hall could let those watching online just know how passionate you are, I want to introduce, to announce the ballot result, the Vice Chair of the Postal Executive, Nick Kavanagh.
Afternoon, everyone. I'm here to ruin Simon Thompson's dreams. Firstly, two thank yous to every CWU rep in the UK who have campaigned relentlessly in the last few months to deliver this result. All of the Galen's images have been inspirational. Secondly, to every CWU member, your loyalty to this union in the face of tremendous pressure from the company has been outstanding. You are the pride of the trade union movement, without any argument whatsoever. To the result. A huge logistical exercise workplaces into the thousands for every member counts in the CWU. So, the result of the national strike ballot across Royal Mail Group ballot is as follows. Ballot papers dispatched 113,330. Ballots returned 87,315. This is an incredible turnout of 77.0%. Numbers voting no, 2,087. Numbers voting yes, 85,187. Yes, 97.6. We could not be more proud of you. The biggest yes vote plus turnout for a national ballot in the trade union history. Thank you very much.
Stick that on your place. Dave Ward. Dave Ward, General Secretary.
Yeah, hi there everybody. I didn't think it was possible to turn the heat up even more, but we've just done that with that stunning result, and we've turned the heat where it needs to be, firmly on the CEO and the board of Royal Mail for their unacceptable actions. I want to thank our members for fantastic support, Postal workers are very loyal people, loyal to the union, loyal to the customers. They want to see the best for the services that they provide. And it really is, it's truly a stunning result. I think it demonstrates once again that they understand what collectivism and collective strength is really about. Look, our members are demanding a substantial pay rise. And they know that they deserve it. They also know that the company can afford it. And it's against the background that postal workers throughout the pandemic, day in, day out, they delivered services. They stuck to everything that the company wanted them to do. They were flexible, they adapted, they made huge personal sacrifices, like a lot of other workers, whilst the company made huge profits. And, you know, where we are at the moment, they know as well that this company has turned their fortunes around, literally on the back of the work that our members have done for the last few years. And they need to see a pay rise now that reflects their efforts in the pandemic, that reflects the fact that they've turned the fortunes of the company around, and that also protects them against the cost of living crisis. You know, the union and the workforce are not going to accept any excuses whatsoever from Royal Mail about affordability, about phony modernisation plans, and I'll come on to that in a minute. And the facts of the matter are that this company has posted record profits for the second year running of 758 million, just back in May. They also chose to prioritise shareholders over the workforce that made those profits by handing out £400 million to shareholders. And at the same time as the same board decided to impose a pay rise of 2% on its workforce. Now, in all of the situation that I've just described, they also managed to award themselves bonuses of up to £140,000 on top of their lottery-winning annual pay salaries. So look, let me be absolutely clear here today. This is not just a vote massively in support of the union and in support of all of the workers across the UK in Royal Mail. It's a vote of no confidence in the board, and it's a vote of no confidence in the CEO of Royal Mail. And they really do need tomorrow at their AGM to consider their own futures. The result also reflects the fact that there is something fundamentally wrong in the UK today in the way that businesses like Royal Mail and other businesses right across the country are being run. And it's something that I think we've got to take on with other trade unions. Hopefully, you know, that we can change the balance of forces in the world of work. We can't carry on like this, where workers do all the hard work. Workers are always paying the price. Whatever the crisis is, there's always an excuse coming forward. And we're not going to put up with that anymore, and neither are our members. I also want to say about these phony modernisation plans. This union has never and never will face away from change. We care about this industry. We care about the services that our members provide. We've all lived and worked through this industry, most of us from a very young age. And, you know, we want the industry to succeed. But modernisation in the UK today seems to be about workers, wherever you are, having to work harder and faster for less. And that's just not right. Modernisation is also, it seems to us, a deliberate levelling down agenda. Not just happening in Royal Mail, it's happening in businesses across the UK. So look, you know, we've got a massive mandate here. And in terms of our next steps, despite all of what we said about the actions of the company, we will, once again, act responsibly, we will give them another opportunity to come back to the negotiating table and do the right thing for their workforce and our members. But we're not messing about right now. We're in a situation where they have a small window, and if they don't respond to that, we will notify the business of industrial action, and that will be serious industrial action in order to achieve for our members the pay deal that they deserve. I want to also comment on public support. No doubt in a minute when we do press stuff, they'll be asking us about where we are, where do we think we are with public support. Well, I think there's a different mood in the UK today. I think workers everywhere are beginning to realise that things are wrong and that they've got to stand together. And I genuinely believe that postal workers are amongst the most popular workers across the whole of the UK and in every single community. Now, they're out there every day and they've built a strong bond with businesses and with the public. And we know that the public will be 100% behind our members getting the deal that they deserve. I want to finish by saying that we're going to win this dispute. We're going to win any issues that come in front of us now about how change should be dealt with, because we're serious about changing the balance of forces in the world of work. And if there's any modernisation that needs doing, the starting point is on the board and the CEO of Royal Mail, and that's where change needs to happen very quickly. So look, our members deliver day in, day out for businesses and for the public, and now it's time for the CEO and the board to deliver for our members. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, everybody. And I genuinely hope that the media report the significance of this ballot. So over 87,000 people have voted, participated in this ballot, and a 97.6% yes vote, I believe, is unprecedented, not just for our union, but anywhere else. We are just 2.2% and a bit shy of 100% of the people who work in Royal Mail Group across all the different functions voting in support of this trade union and rejecting the leadership of Royal Mail. But this is what happens, in my opinion, and this is how this should be reported. This is what happens when you disrespect, when you insult, and when you take for granted one of the most dedicated workforce in the UK. Our members don't just perform during a pandemic. They've got a huge vocational sense of purpose and always have had for extreme weathers like we're experiencing now. Throughout our history, there's many examples where Royal Mail has been like an emergency service to the people of the UK, and our people have stepped up. So our claim ain't about self-pity. It's not about that whatsoever, or just because we worked as key workers. We've always been key workers. Our claim is because over the last 18 months, our members have not only had to work through a pandemic and all the arrangements that were put in place that made life difficult, but they've embraced change on the agreement that we made in 2021. We are the people of honour, not Royal Mail. We delivered on our agreement, and at the time of us making that agreement, they were advocating or reporting that they were expecting between £500 and £600 million loss. They've just said what they announced this year, over £700 million profit across the group. That's effectively £1 billion turnaround in that period of time. And yet our members are entitled to nothing, next to nothing. Now our members, well, we see, as Dave said, we see shareholders getting millions of pounds. We see the leaders of the company getting, hundreds of thousands of pounds in wages, then giving themselves hundreds of thousands of pounds in bonuses, while telling our people, our members, the people who earned it, off the backs, who went through all the danger, all the risks, and provided that magnificent connection, that social connectivity, which is so important to the people of this country. The people who delivered that are just totally taken for granted. I tell you now, postal workers, as dedicated they are, and with their huge vocational sense of purpose, they've also got massive pride, massive self-dignity and respect, and they will not put up with this. We refuse to be treated like this, and this vote absolutely demonstrates it. And let's go on to the vote, because this ain't a Putin election. This is proper industrial democracy in action. This is an individual member, private member's ballot, conducted under the very anti-trade union laws we've got in this country. This has been conducted in that way, conducted properly, and this is a totally democratic output. And what's significant about that is Royal Mail have spent millions on technology to try and win the hearts and minds of our members, because they know this union has successfully defended its members over many years. So they brought in an application called Workplace, where everyone can join it, you know, on your phone, your WhatsApp, everything else. Get messages from the business constantly about trying to form this relationship with individuals rather than dealing with the collective. They instigated the trust agenda, which we worked with, because again, as part of our agreement, it did expose where we had poor culture within the industry and work with it. They have abused it. They have been using that because they thought this day wouldn't happen. They thought the next time the CWU ballot that we would be found wanting. And look at the result of this ballot. Dave said, it's for the wider opinion formers, this massive vote of no confidence in the board and the people that are running this business. We don't care. Bring them on, we beat them. Bring them on, we beat them. We've done it time and time again. How can they keep getting it so wrong? But for the external people, opinion formers, the media, you surely must get onto this, because how can you have lost a workforce, lost the dressing room so badly? In any other walk of life, you would be sacked, a nation would be sacked. To make it absolutely crystal clear, we will do as we always do. We will offer them the chance to get their heads out the trough and negotiate a proper pay award for our members. We will give them that opportunity. But be under no illusion. If they don't respond to that, we will take strike action in defence of our members. Like Dave, I absolutely believe working people right across this country, key workers especially, right across this country. That's what the pandemic exposed. Don't feel sorry for us, but what it exposed was how important ordinary, decent working people are to society. And of course, we're doing this for us. This is our ballot. This is our dispute. But we're under no illusions that people across the United Kingdom, other workers, especially all those workers that don't happen to have the representation of a trade union, I believe they'll be behind us just as much as every single one of our members, and that's why we will win this dispute. Thank you.
Now, questions for the media. We've got a WhatsApp group going with people in the room and people not in the room. People in the room are a little bit shy to ask their questions. We can't go last week, so I think it might be Nick, you might be intimidated. I think can't go with the questions. The first question, two at a time, one today, one to Nick. The first question, Dave, is this trade part of a wider trade union coordinating campaign? This dispute is necessary, and the question is, when would you be considering going strike action if negotiations fail?
So let me be absolutely clear that we will always focus on resolving our members' dispute. We don't use our members in any other way other than really looking at what the issues are for them and coming up with solutions to those problems. So our focus is definitely in that position. But I also want to say today that unions across the UK should be coordinating the fight for change in the UK. The CWU has led the call for a new deal for workers and a new social settlement across the UK. And whilst that will take place separately, we will be looking to work with other trade unions. I think enough's enough now. I think people across the UK are understanding that every single worker counts or no worker counts. And that's the position of the CWU. So watch for what we do in terms of our support for our own members. But like Terry said earlier on, we're here to also make sure that workers across the UK get a fair deal. And we will be taking that campaign forward separately from our own dispute.
Well, I mean, first of all, I have to say, from a media perspective, it disappoints me that the first question is when you take industrial action, as if that's all that matters. I've already said, I think the significance of this and what's going on at the moment in the United Kingdom is worthy of more deeper dive than just when we will take industrial action. We don't do this just for the sake of taking industrial action. We will get ourselves into the strongest possible position, which we've clearly done today. We will offer talks. We give them the opportunity to start talking serious and get sensible in respect of our members getting a decent pay rise. But I've already said, if they don't respond to that, and we've got no idea what they're going to say tomorrow, it's a shareholder AGM tomorrow. But if they don't respond to that in a positive fashion, then clearly we will give notice without hesitation to take industrial action.
Thank you, Terry. One talk for you. You touched on this in your speech, and there are some nice questions as well, Terry. You'll be glad to. One quote for you, though, is should the union, and is the union now currently calling for resignations from the CEO, senior executive?
I think you've had the answer from our members, you've had the answer from the reps here today, and as I said earlier on, when you have votes like this, historic votes in favour of strike action, conducted with all of the anti-trade union laws in place, and you still deliver this magnitude of vote, then really the business, any decent business leader would consider their own position. I hope they do that tomorrow. I hope they do that tomorrow at their AGM. So yes, of course, if these people don't come back with a better offer, well, even despite that, let's call for their resignation. We've just done it.
Well, I think again, we're tested in our behaviours. We're tested against the business and how they behave. Unions are constantly put under the microscope. If Dave and I were subjected to a vote of no confidence like they've just received, we would resign. We would have to resign. And I think they can't just hide behind that, this is just whatever the unions say, our members will jump, because that's an insult to our members. Intelligent people. They've listened to the arguments. Like I said, the management have used millions of pounds to try and convince people not to back this trade union, and they have clearly failed on a monumental scale. Now, it's not just a question of the CEO, it's the board as well. This board has gone through about 3 or 4 CEOs since we've been privatised. So we've been privatised for nearly 10 years. There's also a question on them, on their selection, or what role they play in trying to push these sort of policies. But it's huge naivety on their part for us to have an agreement which we were deploying, which we were working together on, and then suddenly decide to disengage from this year, really, from January onwards, and then treat our members the way they are and assume, given our history, that we wouldn't respond. So I can only assume, therefore, that they thought they was in a good place with their employees and they'd won trust and they could convince them that something the union can't. And that is, as again, on a monumental scale, they've failed. So surely they should resign. Yeah, absolutely, I would call for their resignation, but I think everybody else who's interested in this great public service and what it provides to the people of the UK, I think they equally should be calling for their resignation, because these people have failed.
Dave, you can start with the national gas in stating that Royal Mail Group often hold over the head of the trade union that the poor terms of other parcel carriers and competitors in the environment and say, you know, you're overpaid, you're this, that, the other. How is the CWU going to use this result and the momentum building within Royal Mail to help raise the standards of other people in the sector?
Well, I think that this is these type of ballot results that are taking place in our union. There's been others. This is another historic one today. There's other ballots that are going across the UK, and you know what I said earlier on. The message from our union is very simple: every worker counts or no worker counts. So join a union, and we will fight for you as hard as we fight for our members. And in this particular sector, postal logistics, there's many companies out there, many employees who are being exploited, and we've got to end this race to the bottom stuff, and we've got to create the race to the top. That's how you build success in a business. That's how you grow the economy in the UK. So, you know, we've got a very clear agenda for our members, and we would say to all workers out there who are in postal logistics companies, including places like Amazon, join a union, join the CWU. We'll fight for you, and collective strength will always win the day.
Thank you, David. Question from our friends at the Tribune is, you know, a note to say thank you to the Tribune as well. One of a few media organisations who have been with the CWU and with our members right from the off in this dispute. So thank you to you. The question is, Terry, do you think that actions like this today and what's happening with the RMT is inspiring wider workers out there in the UK?
Absolutely. Absolutely, and well, not just me. I think we all believe there's a sense of change, and I think the pandemic brought that along, and I've already made that point. I think suddenly, I've said this before, I think suddenly during the pandemic, everyone stopped and realised that shop workers, you know, train drivers, bus drivers, whoever, delivery people, Royal Mail people, they suddenly realised that they are the glue for society. They are key workers and are always key workers. And I think key workers suddenly realise their true worth. And I think for too long, people have been, you know, dictated to that they were worth less. And I think people realise just how important they are. And that's why I think people are in a different place. And when you see, and I believe we've seen this shift in the media, when every one of these disputes, normally somewhere sitting in there is a very low payoff or a pay rise for the workers, but massive money going to shareholders, massive money going to people at the top. As I said, they've all got their head in the trough, and they think they can just keep doing this to workers. And I think this is a significant moment, Chris, and I think RMT, CWU now, and the scale of these votes and the support you're getting from ordinary working people who, let's be honest, are really under the cosh now because of the cost of living crisis. So the 2% imposed is just merely a pay cut to all our members, and yet they still vote in massive numbers like that, incredible numbers, 97.6, 83,000 people voting to say, I am prepared to lose money, because this union don't pay people to go on strike, that we are prepared to lose money to defend ourselves and defend the next generation of postal workers in terms and conditions. And yes, that is inspiring to any workers out there, and I think you will see a surge of people joining trade unions.
Wrap up, and then we'll head off and do other media reviews for the evening. But I think this will generally, you might both want to pick up on starting with yourself, David. This is a more pointed question, and I think, you know, to be fair, I'm not, you know, that comfortable with it, because I think the trade union movement has handled it really well, where the RMT ourselves and others is, if we get a decent pay rise in Royal Mail, isn't that just going to push inflation up further and further day?
No, of course it's not. And, you know, let's take this argument apart because it deserves to be. This is what's happening in the UK today, is that whether it's a financial crisis of 2008, whether it's the pandemic, whether it's this current cost of living crisis, the climate crisis that we're seeing in front of us at the moment, there's one certainty if workers don't stand up for themselves now, and I think the message is cutting through, is that it's always the workers that pay the price, and it's always the people who don't do the work that head off with all the money and all the benefits for their hard work. It's got to stop. And, you know, I mean, we're in a situation with the economy in the UK where I've heard some complete rubbish spoken about, you know, workers standing up for themselves as somehow spiralling in inflation. Well, let's examine the facts. Royal Mail themselves have probably added to the problems of global shocks around supply chains, the war in Ukraine, by putting up their prices higher, twice as high, when inflation is around 5%. They put their prices up by 11%. So that's what's spiralling inflation. And the other debate that we need to have, take it head on, the economic debate, is you're never going to grow the economy if you're entering deliberately a race to the bottom for working people, because they'll have no money in their pockets to spend, and the economy simply cannot survive on that basis. So, you know, we don't accept in any shape or form the arguments that are being put forward about that. And, you know, it is time to stop workers being ripped off. We also have to change the way the economy is rigged against working people.
I'll tell you what, you don't hear a moan when inflation's at 1%, do you? And if we ask for above inflation pay rise, they won't give it to us. They'll then want to track the 1%, give you a 1% pay rise. Now it's a different story. But what you're seeing is those at the very top, they're still filling their boots. They're still pulling it in. So these economic arguments are made. They're just stories created by a narrative that these people at the very top, and governments want, by the way, to keep workers down and to keep workers' standard of living down. The people in Royal Mail Group, the people we're representing here, the people that are voting this ballot, they are decent working people on reasonable terms and conditions. And they're not walking around with their pockets bulging. This nonsense that we're 40% overpaid, etc. That's been negotiated. We've done agreements over the years. We've embraced change over the years. We've been working the last 10 years as a privatised company. We've delivered the profits and everything else has been given to shareholders. We are entitled to our bit. Our members are entitled to what they deserve. We refuse to allow them to suddenly be lurching off into in-work poverty just because someone rabbits on about the economy when they're doing nothing about it, the government. We've got the highest inflation in Europe. What are they doing about it? We've got the highest prices on gas and fuel and everything else. What's the government doing about it? But they're doing nothing, but they'll lecture us about if we stand up for our members and give them decent terms and conditions, that suddenly we're going to blow the world up. It's absolutely ridiculous. Take no notice of it. Stand up for it.
Any questions? Going to give both Dave and Terry a chance now for a moment or so just to deliver any final messages. Start with yourself, Dave.
Yeah, so look, once again, you know, final message from us today is to really thank our members, postal workers across the UK who have said enough's enough, who are clearly doing a fantastic job, and now they deserve a substantial pay rise. And we are going to fight with everything we've got to deliver that for our members. So thanks to our members. We are ready to take the company on, and we are going to deliver for them the way that they deliver for the public and businesses across the UK. Thanks very much.
Our members give us their hard-earned cash. They pay to be a member of this trade union, and they elect us to represent them. and we are absolutely determined to defend the employment, standard of living and retirement security of our members and this magnificent public service over 500 years old and still relevant. Our people do an amazing job. They deserve a pay rise that can protect them from this cost of living crisis, and we are absolutely determined to get it.